Good morning, YouTubers. T Square with T Square Talk. Hope everybody's having a great day. It is Tuesday, super exciting day. Got a super awesome video for you. I had two awesome questions come in. One of them came in via a comment. The other one came in with an email. So I think they were both good questions, and I think that a lot of people are wondering some of these questions right now. Both kind of involve a little bit of selling, so I probably won't say the names of the people that had sent them because you see them in the comments more often than you would think. Now, don't be all looking at each other saying, was it you? Was it you? If the person wants to say their name, they can. But it's going to be a good topic. I really think that. And I think a lot of people are wondering that, should we be taking profits at $50, $52, or are we just going to be buying back at a higher price? I'm going to read that email and comment to you here in just a bit. I will do the actual comment first because I think that, one, that came in first. Two, I think a lot of people are thinking this way. And the second one, I'm going to read about the halfway point. So before we get started, please, if you enjoyed today's video, take a quick minute, hit that thumbs up button, help me out. Leave a comment on your thoughts on either of these two. If you do leave a comment, you can just say to the first person or to the second person, and you can give your input, and those two people can actually read through the comments and see your take on that. So please be sure and take a quick minute and subscribe. So many people watch these videos, they forget to hit subscribe, and they watch them the whole way through. I can actually see a lot of information on the analytics page. So take a quick minute, hit that subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and let's get started. So right off the bat, silver to yesterday. I'm doing this video a little early. I'm shooting it at about 10:30 last night. The markets are pulling back just a little bit. We're at 51.86. Not at all worried, in my opinion. We were actually at $52 when the markets opened Sunday night in overnight trading. We were at 52. We had a good day Monday. Prices climbed up a little bit, and then all of a sudden in the overnight trading, they started fizzling back down. Am I worried about that? I'm not worried at all. We had a nice run. We're consolidating right around the $52 mark, it looks like. Could we go a little lower? We could. Hoping that we stay above 50 and that we can create a new floor right around the $50 mark. There's no guarantees how this will play out right now because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of information, stories. I don't know if it's factual or not yet. Some reports came out, or some unknown sources. They're always unknown sources. Nobody wants to say who the source was, obviously, but some stories coming out that the U.S. and China just sent like hundreds of millions of ounces to London. And it's kind of crazy. If you look up some of these stories, I don't know how much of this I believe, because silver in China right now is selling at a high premium. Silver in India is selling at a high premium. So I don't really know if these these countries are actually sending London all this silver that they're saying, or if this is just designed to scare people. Because when I first read the article, if I was to just go off what the article said, I would probably believe, like, oh my word, that means the silver price is probably going to tank. And a lot of people will probably think that. But here's the thing. Is it really going to tank? Do they have the ability to run the price any lower when literally the other day they sold almost 1 billion ounces of silver? It was obscene. They shorted that much silver. It was just a crazy amount to all hit the market at once just to try to push the price down on Friday. And it didn't really have the outcome, I don't think, that people thought, because there were people that were all of a sudden buying it up. So we'll see how that plays out. But currently we got silver price trading at $51.86. The futures is at $50.71. Jumping over to the gold. So we still have about $1 backwardation. Jumping over to the gold. We have gold right now trading at $4,346. Pretty much where we were before the dip, really. I mean, so gold has been holding its own. It was a little discouraging seeing silver not really do much, took a big hit, and then gold didn't take a hit at all. So a lot of people are kind of saying that's why they like gold better. Really, I think the pressure is on silver, so they've got to let gold go up. So people think that. and we'll see how this is going to play out. It's going to be interesting. We got the gold futures right now at 43.65, continuing to climb. Taking a quick look at Bitcoin price, we got Bitcoin trading at just under 110,000, 109,500 dollars. And when you look at the assets based by market capitalization, we still have silver in sixth, comfortably in the sixth place spot. It's just going to be a matter of time before it pops up and passes Google. It should have already done it multiple times, even once before the pullback, once the other day. But the thing is, they're using this. What did I? Oh, no. What did I just do? Okay, there we go. But they're using this futures price. They're not actually using the actual spot price. And they're doing that, I think, intentionally to kind of they don't want this to move up. If this moves up and starts taking out, people that are in Google will question Google and maybe should I sell some of my Google stock or my Microsoft stock or Apple or Nvidia and put it into silver if silver's going to keep going up. And I think they've got to discourage people. They can't afford to have people start buying more silver when there's already a huge shortage. We do have Amazon in the seventh place and then Bitcoin. So Bitcoin hasn't regained its spot past Amazon yet. We'll see how that will play out. It's got a little ways to go before it does. It's going to be interesting to see that. What really took me by shock today was, let me close out that new secret window. They keep popping up new secret windows right now in the U.S. debt clock, is that we're about ready to hit 38 trillion. And I don't know how this jumped so quick. It seemed like a blink of an eye because I talk about this all the time, and I look at this almost every day, and I'm like, what the heck? 37 trillion, 921 billion? It's not going to be long before we move into the 38 trillion. And when that, we've already got the government shut down. We've already got stuff crazy right now. This is only escalating. So we're going to see what happens. We do have a Fed meeting coming up next week. That Fed meeting, hopefully they're going to cut, well, I shouldn't say that. Most likely they're going to cut interest rates. If they do cut interest rates, I'm not convinced they can keep silver down. I'm actually convinced they're beating silver up right now intentionally prior to the Fed meeting when they do cut rates. We do have the dollar right now trading at 98.71. It makes sense that they'd want to try to hype the dollar in the week leading up to the Fed meeting. That way they can say the dollar's strong and things are good and this and that, and convince people what's going on is they're basically painting the narrative to convince people that everything is normal. But a lot of us know it's not normal. We can see it. That's why we're seeing gold prices skyrocket. Gold prices has always been an indicator of the economy. When people start investing in gold, when they start investing in silver, they're looking for safe havens. If the stock market was to crash right now or take big hits, you would see people flood their money into gold and silver. Yes, you might see an initial sell-off due to margin calls. It's easy to sell gold positions really quick. So you might see a little bit of a drop, but I don't think it will be a big drop personally. I think it will be a quick little drop. And at the same time, there's going to be huge people, big players, selling their stocks and moving into gold and silver because they already see the writing on the wall. This is not going to end well. And once you understand that, you understand what's really going on. So with that being said, let's jump over and let's take a look at this comment that I wanted to read to y'all. Okay, I'm going to read it word for word first. I hope I'm not too late to submit a question for your upcoming video. I'm curious about, well, in my situation, I'm just a general stacker. I stack for volume. And even though I started stacking at $18 an ounce, I still can't push myself to take profits at $50 or $52. Am I alone? Also, even if I sold a little bit for profits, I'm buying back at a higher price. And that's just computing in my mind. Where am I wrong in this? Am I actually just kind of saving all my silver to be used with my other retirement program in about 5 or 6 years? Any thoughts on this? Thanks. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. So first of all, you're not wrong. If you sell now at 52, the odds are you're going to end up buying it back at a higher price. Because even if you sell now at 52, let's say, you're probably only going to get spot price. That's usually what I see for the most part, unless you have built up your own group. Now, you know people, maybe if you know people, then you can easily get spot, maybe even a little over spot. I personally would never, ever sell anything under spot. There's no exception that I can think of where I would give silver or gold away under spot. However, when I go to buy it back, for the most part, even though I've tied myself to a few good players in the game that really can get me some amazing deals, maybe even under spot, the odds are you're going to pay spot price plus some sort of a premium. So it's almost a guarantee that you're going to buy it back at a higher price. Let's just say you sold at $52 right now, hypothetically. Chances are, even if the price falls by $1, whoever sells you something is probably going to sell it to you for 51 plus a premium. Spot price plus $1, maybe $2 if you're lucky. Could we see any sizable drop that would matter? I mean, anything is possible. Obviously, like I stated earlier in the intro, if the stock market tanks, it's a possibility that a lot of margin calls will come in and people will have to generate, the big players in the game will have to generate money to make that margin call. Not many big players have a lot of money sitting on the sidelines right now, because money sitting on the sidelines is just losing value. So if you're investing it in like Amazon, or if you're investing in Bitcoin or silver or whatever, you see that it's going up. And so a lot of people aren't sitting on huge amounts of money on the sidelines. It just generally doesn't make sense with inflation happening right now. So the only thing they can do is sell the quickest asset that they can sell it. A lot of times that will either be Bitcoin or silver. And it's probably not physical silver, it's paper silver. And so you might see that dip come up really quick if the market did tank, where you could see silver dip. However, if the economy really tanks, I think a lot of people are going to be looking at where can I put my money, the big players, where I'm not going to be as affected. And they're going to hurry up and move. That's why in today's age, we ain't using ticker tapes like they were in the old days. We're quick moment. The quicker you can hit a key on your phone, it's pretty instant. And therefore, the market drops are going to happen fast, and they're going to recover just as fast. I mean, I remember during 2008 crisis, we were seeing some crazy moves, and it was happening like in one day. You see the stock market drop by 1,000 points and then recover in the same day. I mean, when you look at these things, how quick stuff happens now, you understand. Well, okay, so what could really happen with silver? So I personally don't see many outcomes where you would be able to buy it back at a cheaper price. So now the question comes up, so what do you do now? What I would do if I already had a bunch of silver and I'm thinking about selling and taking profits, I may consider slowing down my purchases or take a week or two and not even purchase. I've actually had my son tell me the other day, he's like, dude, you are so obsessed. He goes, you should consider just, not buying any for a month. I can't go. At first he's like, don't even look at it. Don't even think about it. Just take a break for a month. I mean, here's the thing. Doing YouTube videos, you can't take a break for a month and not know what's, can you imagine me getting on here, and I don't think I could go a month and not talk about silver. I really don't. I think I'd probably lose a big portion. I don't know what I'd talk about. Maybe chickens, cooking, prepping, homesteading, farming, but it would be difficult. But on the flip side, to me, it is a big thing because you have to be on top of your game. The quicker you are on top of your game, the better chance you are of making money. Nobody cares more about your financial future than you do. So, when you look at that, I would just slow down on buying for a little bit if you want to build up some cash to where you need the cash. Because what I wouldn't want to do is sell and then have to buy back. I've known guys that have bought and sold on a regular basis, and a lot of them tend to lose out. And they might not lose money, because if, let's say, you buy a 10-ounce bar and it's $250 when silver was $25, and then they sell it at $300 when it hits 30, or maybe they even sell it at $270. Hey, I made $20. All right, cool. And then you get back in the game and you're buying at 28 or 29. And I've seen this happen to a lot of people, and to a certain point, yes, if you don't have the money and you're playing that game, you don't have a lot of money, and you're just like, you know what, I'm just trying to make a quick buck. Well, yeah, for a turnover deal, that makes sense. That's what a lot of these desk people do, where you have to call up and make an appointment to sell. I actually will be talking about that in the next email that I'm going to read, that some people do that. These guys are not speculators. They are putting in, they're giving you a price, whatever it is, and then they're selling it. And they're selling it to a refiner, and they're making a quick buck. They're not looking at, if I hold it, what could happen. Because a lot of them understand the price can drastically fall if they hold it for too long. It could fall. They're not gambling like we are. We are speculating, that a lot of us stackers, that silver is going to go a whole lot higher. And being on top of your game, knowing what's going on, can make a big difference. I seen one guy, he just bought a pallet full of pennies. I said, man, I wonder how he got that hookup. He bought $3,000 in pennies, and it was 120 boxes. A beautiful picture. And, here's the thing. He knows those boxes are going to sell for $50 a box to people that like to hunt pennies in a couple years from now. Maybe even a year from now, he'll double his money. You only have to be a step ahead of everybody else. And if you're trying to buy, sell, a lot of times you miss those profits in the middle. Have I done that before? I've done it with cryptocurrencies, and it seemed to me like I would buy, and then I would try to catch it lower. I might buy it, and then all of a sudden it jumps up. I sell it. I made a profit, but had I just held on to it straight through, I could have made a bigger profit possibly, because you might miss out on those gaps. So that's why if you think maybe I want to just save some money up and put some money to something else, save some money up. Now, if you're going to save money up, my personal opinion, I would buy some pennies. I read one comment one day. A guy said, my emergency fund is $2,000 that he keeps on hand. He keeps it in all nickels. And why does he do that? Because he understands that nickels are made out of nickel and copper. If he has an emergency, he can take those boxes to the bank, cash them in. He could even pay someone with the nickels. It might be a little weird depending on what your emergency is, but hey, something happens and you need $300-400. There goes 3 or 4 boxes of nickels. It is a fun. And when you look at the actual Coinflation website, which I've talked about numerous times, we'll pull up coins circulating. We'll say base metal coins. And let's just say nickels. Boom. Let me close this out. These little ads pop up at the worst spot on this site. That's the only thing I don't like about it. Man, how many of them are going to pop up? Oh, you know what? Maybe I do that. There we go. So we type in Jefferson nickels. We're talking current day nickels, which is weird. They actually have it at 46 to 2014. But as far as I know, the nickels are still made out of the same. That's weird. Nickels are still made out of the same breakdown of. Oh, it does say actually they changed. What? 82 to 14. Oh, no wonder. I'm like, why does that say that? Hold on. Jefferson nickels. I don't know why it stops at 14, but let's just say you have a dollar's worth of nickels. That's 20 nickels. Calculate the value of that, and you're talking $1.17. So a dollar worth of nickels is up 17%. So that guy that has his $2,000 in nickels, clear 2,000 plus 17%. Does this have a percent key, or am I going to have to times it out? Nope, don't have it. Oh, yeah, there it is. 17% equals $2,340. So he's got $2,340 in metal, and that keeps going up. This number keeps going up at 17%, 18%, 19%. So his emergency fund is gaining, but it's gaining slow. But here's the thing, it's doing better than paper. So I would probably say if you're thinking about wanting to sell, I would just slow down your buying now, and you're ahead of the game because you're already prepared. You're already thinking about it. I wouldn't want to sell my actual stack. I expect that I'm going to want to use it down the road for retirement. Small amounts just to subsidize my living, essentially. You know, all of a sudden, your Social Security or your retirement doesn't buy you groceries like it used to. And I don't know how many old people, I hate to say this like this, that are really struggling, that are eating, you know, canned beans. They're really on a shoestring budget. You know, they know they've got to pay their insurance, their taxes, their phone bill, whatever their bills are. And they're at the end when that's all done, they're not really eating good. They're not eating like steak and shrimp. They're not eating, you know, a lot of good stuff. They're just getting by. And so I look at silver as down the road, I'll be able to pull out a little bit of silver and maybe trade it with someone, because think about how much demand silver is going to have in even 5 or 6 years. I'm convinced the demand is going to happen fast. You know, there's an old saying that bankruptcy or currency collapses, they happen slow at first and then all at once. I think we're getting to the road where we are getting closer and closer to the all at once, and it's going to happen fast. It really is, I believe. It's just slow now. And I've talked about this in other videos, so I think it's important that people realize what's going on. You don't have gold skyrocketing to new all-time highs because everything is great. If everything was great, gold would not be doing good. Countries are buying gold left and right now because they're afraid that, I mean, look at the U.S. dollar. I mean, we just looked a minute ago. We're about ready to hit another trillion in debt. Another trillion. And we've already used it as essentially a weapon and a financial weapon, an economic weapon. We're using tariffs now, you know, to try to manipulate stuff. The whole game is rigged, and it has been rigged for a while. Just people don't realize it. What's going to be really sad is the people that have huge retirements. Now, you mentioned in your comment something about your retirement. Will your retirement even be there when you retire in 5 or 6 years? If the stock market collapses, you know, I had a young kid tell me once that it can't collapse. You know, back then it did, but that could never happen today. Even if it does, people will just buy it back up. Maybe they'll buy it back up if they have the money to buy it back up. Right now, people are buying a lot of stuff on credit. I'll be honest, credit is a slippery slope. You guys know I bought a bunch of silver on my credit card at $32 an ounce. They gave me 0% for a year. Now, in my mind, I told myself, well, that's okay. I'm just going to pay it back in 6 months. And in 6 months, silver will probably be $45. Here we are now. We're only at 5 months. Silver's at 52 almost. The thing is, that 0% credit they gave me was open-ended. They said you can charge anything new. You will keep 0% for the full year. Do you think I've been paying it as quick as I should? Not really. I've been doing minimum payments, which is very bad. It's a slippery slope, like I said. and taking that extra cash to pick up some of the deals right now, because there is silver out there under spot. I'm getting texts, messages, emails about people that are buying stuff under spot right now in some cases. You got to look around. You got to know how to find this stuff, the deals. And you're probably going to take less favorable 90% silver. Some people say it's less favorable. Personally, what I get a kick out of is they were toting 90% silver not even a month ago as you should buy this because it's already diversified for you. It's broken down. It's I said diversified, divisible for you. It's broken down into small pieces. 14 silver dimes is an ounce. I can't say 5 silver quarters. I guess I can say 4 silver quarters and 4 dimes is an ounce. 2 silver halves, 4 dimes, that's an ounce. 2 silver quarters, 1 silver half, 4 silver dimes, that's an ounce. There's a lot of scenarios, and you can pick that up under spot in some cases if you know where to look. But it takes time to find these places, to find these people. If people know who you are and they know that, you wheel and deal or that you collect, they will, reach out to you when they want to sell. And that's going to come into the next comment that the email that I'm about ready to read. So my thoughts in conclusion, to put it all down, I would be not wanting to sell my silver. I might stop buying for a little bit, build up a little bit of extra cash. I would probably want to put it up in nickels or pennies. You don't have to look through them right now. They're there. They're there. That's it. I mean, pennies might go up. If people can't get pennies, shoot, I remember during COVID, I had Whataburger give me a free Whataburger meal if I sold them or cashed in $100 in coins. Why did they do that? Because there was a coin shortage. I would not be surprised to see something happen with pennies. I mean, ice cream shops were giving free ice cream if you cashed in $25. Free coffee in the morning if you were willing to cash in $20 worth of change. If you were a stacker or a coin collector or a coin hunter, I should say, you probably had plenty of change sitting around your house. How many people take advantage of those opportunities? Not many. But what did it do? It brought a lot of coins out in the open. And right now we're seeing a lot of really good pennies come out in the open. Stuff that have been sitting in a jar forever because someone says, hey, they're not going to be taking pennies anymore. They're going to go away. They're still going to accept them. Even my son had asked me one day, what happens if you buy 10 boxes of pennies for $250 and then no one takes them? The question ain't going to be that no one will take them. I mean, people still take Susan B. Anthony's. People still take Eisenhower dollars. If you're going to pull out a Morgan dollar or a Peace dollar, I guarantee you a store will still take that. If they don't, I'll gladly give you $1 for it. But, you got to understand what's going on. So, that's what I would do if I were you. And, if you're worried about the price falling, I mean, the price can fall, but personally, I'm not super worried. Only because they're trying too hard right now to convince people that London is fixed. If London was fixed, the backwardation would be over. That point blank. If London had it fixed right now, there would be no backwardation. So clearly London did not get all the silver that they're saying, because you look at the physical spot price right now, 51.81. You look at the actual futures price, $50.78. So there's still a little over $1 in backwardation. Will that go away anytime soon? The only way that's going away is if they raise the prices. And I think the prices are going to go higher. Maybe we have to weather a storm for a week or so. I mean, it could happen till, the weather the storm until the Fed meeting is over, and then maybe a day or two over that. But we'll see what happens. I'm convinced by the end of the month we'll be right back up to $50 or the first couple days. $55 or the first couple days of the new month. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the next question. I thank you so much for that question. I hope that gave you all a lot to think about in terms of, because I'm sure there's other people in the same boat. But I've seen time and time again, People sell it and then they buy it back at a higher price. The only time that pays off is if we see a massive plunge like we did in 1980, like we did in 2011. But two major things happen on those days. One, they forced the Hunt brothers to go bankrupt. They had a margin call, which made them have to sell huge positions. And by selling that, the price basically plunged. Why did they make them do a margin call? Because they wanted it to happen. They wanted them to bring the silver price down because we need silver for industrial demand. I'm sure there was a lot of pressure from companies that were paying higher silver prices. Then what happened in 2011? Big short contract positions that were just obscene. And now they think they can continue to get away with that by just doing bigger and bigger. But when you've got silver coming out of the COMEX left and right, I mean, it's going to eventually run out. So moving on to the next question. I just got to pull up the email real quick. Let's see here where you're at. Okay. Let's see. Because I got my reply there. Okay. Okay. So let me see where to start reading this at. Okay. Hey, T. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't read anything too personal to give the person away. I realized I never replied with a thank you. That's all right. I know that people get busy. I get busy and forget stuff all the time. Good news is we didn't drastically drop to $20. I didn't think we would, but there were people talking that it might have happened. Also, I'm a 3. Actually, that might be considered a little personal. Basically dropped a bad habit for a few months. I'll be honest with you. I used to have a serious gambling problem. Some people will say I still do, but I can tell you wasteful spending and gambling falls by the wayside when I'm stacking silver because silver takes a lot of my money, it seems like. So it's helped me be able to purchase a little bit more silver by cutting some of my negative habits. Unfortunately, okay, here we go. Unfortunately, life has happened, and I have to sell some of my piggy bank silver. I wanted to tell you about a few things I've learned from calling around to some of my local coin shops here. I'm sure you're hearing the same thing. Here we go. We have 3 coin shops that are trusted near me. I don't count pawn shops or jewelry shops. One of them is a storefront you can walk into any time of the day or week and buy or sell. The other 2 are by appointment only and always have been. The first one has a 2-week wait to sell, which this is kind of crazy to me. And they will not tell you how much they are paying for American Silver Eagles. If I were able to come in and sell on that day, I called, which was a Saturday. The other 2 are a week out to sell. Now, this blows my mind, the week out to sell, but we're going to talk more. We're going to keep talking about this and work this all out. And like I said, people can put their opinions in the comments too. A week out to sell. And asked about the sale price, and they're about 75 cents over spot for American Silver Eagles. I would be willing to bet almost any silver stacker in the comments or in the community would pay you $1 over on Eagles for sure. And spot price for 1/10 ounce gold Eagles. I would never sell a 1/10 ounce gold Eagle at spot price. I asked if they use the futures price or the silver price, and they both said they couldn't tell me. So sometimes the people that answer the phone are not the person that deals. So I know someone right now that he does this type of stuff. he is not always the one that answers the phones. Sometimes his secretary answers the phone, or his assistant or employer or whatever. And sometimes he answers the phone. He has knowledge about silver and the silver markets. I would expect that maybe his assistant is probably not diverse in all the fancy terms like spot price, futures price. And it's rare that we even see backwardation. So it is important right now, because a lot of companies have always wanted to use the futures price when selling. Now they're using the spot price. They're going to pick the one that's best for them, unfortunately. And that's probably going to be the same for most of these type places. I asked if they use the futures silver price. They couldn't tell me. I thought that was very strange. So that part I don't find strange because, like I said, some people just don't know. They're answering the phone and they just ain't the one doing it. I'm a newbie and have only sold once, but I don't understand how different shops can use different services for futures and spot price. I would like to know more about this. If you ever have a chance to school me on it. Yeah, hey, we're gonna talk about all this right now. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and I look forward to your next show. Keep it up. It really helps. Okay, so let's talk about this. So first of all, we've talked about the difference on here about what spot price is and what silver price is, what spot price and futures price. So right now we've got the actual spot price. This means if you're going to buy physical silver right now, this is the price, $51.81. If you're willing to take your silver in the future right now, it's $50.83. This is normally higher. And the reason it's higher is because they've got to hold it. They're basically housing it for you for the next 30 days. That's why when you look at right now gold, which is in a normal situation right now, you've got 43.43 if you want to take custody of it right now. If you want to take custody of it later, they've got to hold it for you, so they're going to charge you $43.65. You'll get it later, but they've got to hold it for you. Well, that holding fee translates to about $20 an ounce right now. So that's the difference. Now, usually this is what you see. Spot price right now being a little bit cheaper. Unfortunately, the silver market right now, people want physical silver right this minute. They're worried. They say London wants silver right now because they need the silver to make deliveries. They need the silver on hand. That's why there's a big backwardation. They're willing to pay a higher premium to get it now. Maybe they're paying that little extra because a lot of people are starting to press them. And if people press them and they fail to deliver, think about the message that they're sending to the world. They're basically saying, we don't have silver for you. And I believe there are large entities like China that are the ones pressing them. They want to see them fail because if the COMEX runs out, if the LBMA runs out, what is going to happen is China's going to step in and say, hey, we can give you honest silver and gold prices, and we can deliver now if you want to pay those prices. But those prices ain't $51. Them prices ain't $50.83. They're a lot more. And they know that because people are paying more when you go to a coin shop, when you go to online bullion dealers. So there's a lot of that misinformation out there that people don't realize why this is happening. They need silver. That's why news articles have been coming out right now that London is getting flooded with silver coming in because the U.S. says that essentially, you got the spot price, the COMEX at $50.80, but then you have their price over there at $51.80. Oh, for that dollar, you're going to put a bunch of silver, $1 an ounce on a plane and send it over there. And I know it translates to a lot of money. So don't feel like I'm selling it short, like, oh, they're going to do all that for only $1. I mean, they're moving supposedly millions of ounces. I mean, you can put a lot of ounces of silver on a plane and fly it over there. Normally, they would just put it on a cargo vessel, a ship, and float it over there. But they need it now. So why do they need it now? That's the big question. I think they need it now because there's a lot of accounts that want physical delivery soon. And they know they don't have it. And that's when it's going to get ugly. So, that's the reason why we have the different prices. And like I said, anybody is probably going to pick and choose the price that they want to show you. If you are new, you need to understand what you're buying. You need to understand what you're selling. And yes, eagles are sought after. An eagle is not a buffalo round. Therefore, if you think you're going to try to tell me I'm going to give you the same price for a buffalo round as an eagle, they're both just an ounce of silver, so it doesn't matter. That might work for some people. Some people will accept it. It all depends if they sense you are in a hardship position. There's not many outcomes that I can think of that you could say going in there that's, going to point to what do you have for options? You tell them the truth. I had a major emergency. I need money. Okay? He's going to sell cheap. Let's really get him. Or you can come out and say, I think the silver price has gone up high, and I think it's due to come down and correct. Oh, okay, so you know what? Well, we think it's going to come down and correct too, so we can only pay you a little bit of money. So you got to be mindful of that. However, I would probably go in and say, I'm curious if I sold this today, how much I would get. I don't really think I want to sell, but I'm curious because I may want to sell. I don't need to sell, but I will if I get a good enough price. I've been thinking about maybe, doing something stupid like taking a trip. If you say that, it's not something you have to do. It's not something you need. Know the difference between needs and wants. So they think right off, okay, so we don't guarantee have a sale. Maybe we'll offer them a little bit more to get more. I would not sell a silver eagle under spot under no circumstances. I could be in the hospital and they're ready to pull the plug, and people that know me, some of y'all on the channel know me in real life, I'm going to say, pull that plug. You ain't getting it for spot price. You definitely ain't getting any silver under spot either. It's a silver eagle. It's a highly sought after coin. Yes, there's a lot of them out there, but it's also a premium coin. I'm convinced if I was in your shoes, I would show up at those places and ask them, what could I get for this? And then from there, I would look. But before I even did that, a day or two before, I would go on Facebook, assuming you have all your stuff private. If you've got your town, your address, your phone number, you've got all that showing, then I would be a little weary doing this. But if you're a little secretive and you don't have much information showing about yourself that someone could show up at your doorstep and take your whatever you have, I would go on Marketplace and say, hey, look, I got a tube of eagles. I'm looking to sell it right now. I'm asking, let's see here. What would I sell a tube of eagles right now for? Clear. Let's say 53 times, I think there's 20 in there, times 20. If there's 20 eagles in there, I can't remember if it was 20 or 25 on the eagles. I would say I want $1,100. I've got a tube of eagles right now. I'm selling for $1,100. See if somebody bites. Chances are someone's going to come back to you and say, would you take 1,000? I would be like, I can't take 1,000. 1,000 would be $50 a piece. I'm just looking here. I would say $1,100, and you can meet in a public place. That's $53 an ounce. That's $1 over spot at this exact minute. $1.20 over spot. I think you're doing well, and they're doing well. Compared to what you're probably going to get at a pawn shop, at a discount shop, at a resale shop. Now, you could go in there to them, and they might tell you, don't think automatically they're going to rip you off, because I actually do know some people that do this, and they don't play games. They just want to make a small percentage, and that's it. Times 20. I mean, think about that. If they gave you spot price, that's $51.80 right now. They're going to give you roughly $1,036. I'd probably tell them, can you give me $1,040 if you're going to take it? But I wouldn't take it personally. I would go to eBay probably and try to sell it. Now, here's the thing. You've got to go. You've got to show up at one of these places. The 2-week out rule is kind of weird. I don't understand why they're saying 2 weeks out. That's kind of crazy, because most of the people that I know that have these make appointments, I actually got one good friend that he does that by appointment only. I actually met him. I showed up without an appointment. I don't like appointments. I don't even make appointments for my doctor. I just show up. Can you get me in? I'm willing to wait. I don't mind waiting. And I think he just realized I don't know my schedule. I don't have a schedule. I'm not very good at keeping a schedule. I don't know when I'm going to be, where I'm going to be, and I don't like schedules because I don't like being predictable. I was military for too long, and part of the military is never be predictable, especially when you're overseas in any kind of a hazardous zone. But even to this day, I still don't like being predictable. So that would be my thoughts. You've got to go and just talk to them and see what they offer you. Hopefully, you're not in a horrible position. You didn't say what the emergency was, but hopefully it's not horrible that you have to sell as much. Maybe, you'll get paid between now and then. I definitely wouldn't buy anything for the time being. This is where I say the emergency fund, if you're going to have an emergency fund, have it in something else. Once again, if you had 10 boxes of nickels, them nickels are going up in value. Those pennies are going up in value. You could cash them in if you needed to. I mean, I'll be honest, I would love it if one of my buddies asked me, hey, I took that penny advice. I bought some boxes of pennies. I'm sitting on 10 boxes of pennies, but now I had my starter go out. I need $250. Can you interested in them? You can have them for phase, and that's what I would say. I would say, well, I'm only going to give you phase because I can still go to the bank and buy pennies for $25 a box. So I would only give you $25 a box right now. However, down the road, when you can't get pennies, I might be the first one that would say, I'll give you $30 a box for them, bro. Why? Because I can't get them anymore at the bank. And I recognize the value of those pennies. Someone asked me the other day, why? A zinc penny ain't worth anything. Copper pennies are, but you buy a box of pennies. You buy a box of pennies today, they're mixed up. You don't know what you're going to have. So you might have some zinc ones in there. Well, you will have zinc ones in there. You'll have copper ones in there. And so you don't really know how it's all going to play out, the box. However, I've gotten a box of pennies before, and they were all copper pennies. It was what they call a coin dump or a collection dump. And once that happens, I mean, you can really score well. Man, it is just giving me advertising galore. This is the one thing I don't like about this site. So $1 in pennies right now in copper pennies is $3.17. However, personally, I'm only finding roughly 10 to 15% copper in a box. And I actually did about $10 worth of pennies today, and I only got $1 worth of copper pennies out of 10 or 10, maybe no, it was $10 worth of pennies. I did $10 worth of pennies, and I got about $1 worth of copper that I threw in my copper jar. I don't normally do pennies, but those ones, they had gotten broken, and I said, man, I need to just get rid of some of these. And I wasn't really doing anything, so I figured it was worth just doing some rolls right now. So who knows? We'll see how that plays out. That's my thoughts on that. You got to go, maybe look around. Hopefully, it'd be great if you knew someone that stacked. I know at least 20 to 30 people right now that have nice stacks, and that would literally give me, if I needed $1,000 tomorrow and wanted to let go of some silver, they would buy it off me tomorrow. So there's opportunity in knowing other stackers. That's why I've always said build a group up around you, get people into stacking. I've got one friend that I got him into stacking when gold was $1,400 an ounce. I mean, I won't say he loves me now, but he definitely has a certain amount of respect for me now. And if I needed some money, he would definitely say, hey, yeah, cough up a tenth of an ounce or a quarter of an ounce. Maybe he'll loan it to me with the coin as collateral, or maybe he would just buy the coin off me. And I would get a good price because what are his options? If he buys a little bit every month, well, he just buys off me and don't buy off a big bullion dealer. He saves a few bucks. I get a few bucks, and everybody would work out. If I was in that kind of a situation where I needed it. Right now, I would not want to sell anything if I could avoid it, because I really think we're setting up to see a big jump. I think just the weak hands are selling right now, and they're taking advantage of that. A lot of places are taking advantage of that. Now, I see some dealers that are doing 5% under spot. Now, here's the thing. 5% under spot. Let's jump out of that spot because I don't like seeing those ads keep popping up. So let's say 5% under spot. This is where 10-ounce bars come into play. This is where generic rounds come into play. I wouldn't want to get rid of Eagles. That would be probably the absolute last coin that I would get rid of if I had to get rid of it and had to take a hit. But let's say 51.80 times 20, that's 1,036. But then what they would do is times 0.95. Oh, go back one. 0.95 is 95%, or a 5% deduction, equals they might try to give you for that tube of Eagles $985. Maybe they'll try to say $980. Depends on the person. Eagles, most people know Eagles are sought after. Most people know people can resell Eagles quick, so they're gonna want them if you've got Eagles. But the problem is, I mean, you might get the same or similar for a 10-ounce bar. And a 10-ounce bar has a lower premium when you buy it. That's why I've always stayed away from Eagles. But my son, he prefers Eagles. He likes Eagles. He'll always tell me, yeah, if you get any Eagles, let me get them instead, since you're not a big fan of them. And, he ain't buying a ton of stuff. He don't mind paying that little extra premium. He's done really well. He started buying Eagles at $20, so his Eagles are up. But if you bought your silver recently and you're forced to sell it, you might take a little bit of a hit. But hopefully, if you've been stacking for a little while, you might still break even or make a little something. But I don't know. That's a case-by-case basis on each person. So I think people need to be careful if they're selling, though. Like I said, to me, I really think we're going to climb. Let's take a look real quick. Excuse me. Take a quick look. I mean, when you look at this right here, this is just 5 days. We were trucking along pretty well. And then they had a delivery day, and boom. I was reading about this. A bunch of big deliveries came due. And it wasn't a major delivery day, but, that's why they say, look at the volume here. Look at this sell-off that's happening. And you can see it clear when we zoom out a little bit more. You see how this area right here, this drop, the lines are all higher? That's telling you the volume was there. That's big volume. That's higher than every other day in the last 30 days. Taking a quick look at a 3-month time frame, look at it. Still higher than everything we've seen in the last 3 days. Look how dark it is. You see all these dark lines so much? You don't see this as you climb back over the last 3 months. Nothing like that. That was them positioning themselves for a huge sell-off. They were creating the sell-off. I would not be surprised to see what just happened up here is going to be just like this. What you see right here in April. We had this big drop. We had a nice drop up there. And then we had an instant rebound for some of it, and then it started climbing out of the hole, and then we had a consolidation just under the peak until a little bit of time went by, and then we popped and continued on that road. Same thing here. We climbed up. We got beat down. I wouldn't be surprised to see a consolidate, see the silver price climb back up to $53 and see a nice consolidation form up around the $53 mark. Still a lot higher when you look at how it's been going up. We're still looking good in my opinion. Look at these lines. Look how high these lines are right here. I wish there was a way to enlarge this. Can I enlarge this? No, I guess I can't. I was like, it would be nice to be able to enlarge it to like get this chart full screen. What's this? No. Nope. Okay. I'd say it would be nice if I could enlarge this chart just to be the full screen. I think people need to be mindful of what's going on and not pay attention to the noise. You can see the volume is picking up. The volume is picking up not just because, I mean, how many stackers do you know that are out there selling? That's the thing you got to think of. I mean, who's selling right now? It's probably still the mines. The mining companies are selling. They can't pull silver out of there. Woohoo! You know, they're accumulating silver at a regular pace from the mines. The mines are going to keep pushing it on the market and selling it. Yes, the mines are very happy that the silver price is up right now compared to what they have been, and they've learned how to tighten their belts. They've learned how to run on a shoestring budget. So now they should be hitting big profits, but we're not seeing mining stocks go through the roof right now. I mean, yeah, they might be up a little bit, but we're not seeing them really go up. We're seeing silver really go up. I mean, think about this for a quick minute. Someone sent me a picture like I got a kick out of it, like I didn't follow it. But, you know, you could have bought in silver in April for $28.50 on April 7th. $28.50. Now we're at 51. April, what is that? April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 7 months? 7 months and we've gone up as much as we have? Almost double? I know it's not. I shouldn't say almost double. Someone will call me on that. They'd be like, double it would be 56. We're not at 56. But we were at 54.50. We were pretty close. So, you know, who knows? We'll see how this plays out. I hope this answered your questions, both of y'all. I'm always looking for ideas to talk about stuff. I was just checking real quick how long we talked. So 1 hour. We got 30 minutes for one, 30 minutes for the other. Got some good information laid down for y'all. And I'm going to keep stacking. I've been going kind of pushing myself, trying to get every little dime, quarter, ounce of silver I can pick up at a fair price right now. I don't want collectibles. I'm looking for ounces. So right off, that first comment, that person that said they've been stacking weight, I think they've been wise. Stacking weight. I'm hearing right now if you have elemental bars, you can actually get more money for them for some reason. That refinery is buying back elemental bars at higher price than any other coin or bar that they have. They want to promote buying back their own products. So in the future, when people start buying again, if given the choice what kind of bar to buy, you'll buy elemental bars. So that's a good thing. If you have elemental bars, you can probably do really well. I know someone wanted to trade me something the other day, and he offered up a silver bar and said, hey, I said, if you got an elemental bar, I'll consider it. Because, you know, obviously there's more talk around them right now. People want them more. And so who knows? But, you know, that's all hindsight. I didn't know they would want elemental bars more than some other companies like NTR or whatever these other bars are called. So definitely something to think about. I do like when a company puts their product first and pays a little bit more when the time comes. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you all hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Literally 60% of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed, which is crazy to me. Special thank you to all of our members of the channel. I can't thank you enough. And hit that thumbs up button. Leave a comment. to these people and let them know what you think. They'll probably read the comments below. And I thank you both for writing into me. And I hope you all have a great day. Take care, everybody. Have a great one. Bye-bye. And check out some of these other great videos. There's a lot of great videos here. We do a video every Monday through Friday. I may start doing the weekends again, but we'll play that out by day. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.